Hello there. I know that I'm working on week 30 a little early. The main reason why I'm working on week 30 a little early is because next week, which would be week 30, I start school. And for those of you who are in college, you'll know that the first week is like the most hectic week ever, um, because of all the stuff you have to get to know and all the work you have to do. Um, so I'm going to do this a little bit earlier. Um, so for week 30, for the week of August 25th to the 31st, last week of August, I'm going to do something that's historical but also modern because it's still around. Um, it's the Iroquois Confederacy. Now, the Iroquois Confederacy formed like a long time ago. Like it's, um, yeah, I forget the exact date, but I do know that their constitution that they made is over 500 years old, older than the United States Constitution. So they've been around for a while. Um, the Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy, I'll explain that in a minute. It's made up of 6 nations. It was originally 5, but in the 1800s, there was a 6th nation added to it. Um, these include the nations of Cayuga. Well, let me pronounce these because I had to write them down because some of these are a little weird to pronounce. Cayuga, Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Onondaga, Seneca, and Tuscarora. Um, Now, for me, I know I don't like to get personal in these videos, but for me, this is not only American history, but this is also family history to me because I am Native American and my family derives, like my dad's side of the family, my dad's father's side of the family derives from Mohawk Indians. Um, so it's not only American history to me, it's also family history. But anyway, those are the 6 nations that formed the Iroquois Confederacy, but they weren't known as the Iroquois to themselves. In their own native language, they were known as Haudenosaunee, it's pronounced. Haudenosaunee, or it roughly translates into English, the people of the Longhouse, because of their long houses. Because they lived in mainly Canada and New York State. As come fall time up to the springtime, it's extremely cold in that region. And instead of teepees like the Plain Indians would have, they would build long houses out of wood, and they would have like smoke coming out of them in fires, to keep them warm during the cold winter. So that's why they're known in their own language as the people of the longhouse, because they made those long houses to live in instead of teepees that the Plain Indians did. Okay. Like I said before, the location of these is mainly in New York State and Eastern Canada. You'll find a lot of the 6 tribes in New York State. In Canada, you will find a lot of them, but the 2 main ones in Canada would be the Mohawk and the Seneca. Seneca, you would find a lot at the time of the Confederacy. Maybe you still find them to the south of Lake Ontario in Canada, or maybe into New York a little bit. And even though Mohawks were in New York, the majority of Mohawks were in Quebec and Eastern Ontario at the time this formed. Now, getting back to their constitution, over their constitution is really old. It's over 500 years old, and it goes, it talks about their government, their tribal government, how chiefs should, like what the duties of chiefs are, what the council has to do, stuff like that. And like I said before, it's over 500 years old, and believe it or not, it was based off, well, not based off, but the United States Constitution was based off of the Iroquois Confederacy Constitution. Benjamin Franklin was interested in the Iroquois Confederacy, and when he was at the Constitutional Convention in 1787, he helped put a lot of those Iroquois Confederacy principles into our Constitution, our U.S. Constitution. Now, what was I going to say next? I'm blank for a minute. So anyway, those are like the basics of the Iroquois Confederacy. Of course, as all Native American tribes, they did side, with different factions. Like for instance, my tribe, the Mohawk tribe, during the American Revolution, they sided with the British, and because the British said, hey, we're having a little trouble with these colonists. If you help us defeat these colonists, we'll, leave your land, or we'll give you land, and you can live in peace, which, as we know from American history, was often a white man's lie. And the Mohawk Nation, I don't know if they suffered a lot after the British loss, but I don't know. But I do know that there was one Mohawk chief at the time. His Anglicized name was Joseph Brant. And believe it or not, my family is related to him, oddly enough. This Joseph Brant was a Mohawk chief, and he would help the British attack American colonists in like Upper New York and Pennsylvania. He would come down from like Canada and New York and attack colonial armies and stuff. And he was, because of this, he was like well revered by the British people. Like the British Army really liked him because he fought so well for them and stuff like that. But like I said before, in the end, all the help us, we'll help you is all just an empty promise, because as we now know, the British lost the American Revolution, and the natives had to pay for it. That fought for the British in blood and in other stuff too. So anyway, that's the basics of the Iroquois Confederacy. There is a lot more about it, but if I were to go into every detail of the Iroquois Confederacy, we'd be here forever. You can actually do an entire class on the Iroquois Confederacy. That's how much information there is on it. So I just did a basic introductory thing of like synopsis of the Iroquois Confederacy. If you want to know more, you can search for it online if you want. You can easily find their constitution online too, and there is one site that I found that will actually show you like the U.S. Constitution and their Constitution. It will show you like the similarities and the differences. So that's it for this week. Bye. Or I should say next week.